With the first pick in the 2024 NFL drafts, the Chicago Bears selected Caleb Williams, who looked like an absolutely generational prospect. However, the player picked directly after him, other quarterback Jayden Daniels, performed way better than him and ended up winning Offensive Rookie of the Year. Today, I am trying to answer the question, what happened if those two were flipped and Caleb Williams was drafted by the Commanders while the Bears selected with their first overall pick Jayden Daniels. Jayden Daniels is an 85 overall X-Factor. All right, I believe he's an X-Factor once he becomes a non-hidden dev. While Caleb Williams is only a 75 overall. So we're going to watch both of these guys' career and see if the Commanders can still make it out of the absolute hole that they ended up in throughout their entirety of the last decade. And if the Bears will ever get themselves a 4,000-yard passer. I plan on answering all these questions today, so let's get into it. This video is going to take a very, very long time, so please show your support because this is going to be a long sit-in for me. Each season, we will alternate between playing a drive with Caleb Williams and a drive with Jayden Daniels. We'll start off with a drive with Jayden Daniels because I think it would be more fun. The Bears' first game is against the Tennessee Titans, but before we do that, I want to look at these rosters. Jayden Daniels has a ton of help here. He has a pretty solid offensive line, a deep tight end room, a nice running back, and an insane wide receiver room with two superstars above an 80 and then an 80 overall rookie. So he has a lot of potential. This defense is also solid. They have pieces like Kevin Byard, Jalen Johnson, Kyler Gordon, Montez Sweat, Jaquan Brisker, and Tremaine Edmonds. Caleb Williams has a team of the exact same overall as Jayden Daniels. He, of course, has standout pieces like Terry McLaurin and Sam Cosmi on his lineup. A lot of vets that are really going to produce and a lot of potential. His defense has insane pieces like Marshawn Lattimore, Jonathan Allen, Quan Martin, Jeremy Chin, Mikey Sanders still. So he could honestly do even better, but their rosters are the same overall. Even Bobby Wagner is a demon. So we're actually going to hop into a drive with Caleb Williams because I think that might be even more fun. All right, so we will start off with a quick run here because honestly, everything else was a read option and great field position, by the way, already into the red zone. All right, Caleb Williams now throwing his first pass out to Terry McLaurin. He's got it. Second and inches. Second and inches. Williams will hike it to Brian Robinson, breaks the tackle and gets 6. All right, second and goal. Caleb Williams looks pressured and he goes down. 10-yard sack from Chauncey Golston. So Williams has one more shot at the end zone here on third and goal. They go 4 wide here, and he's going to try and force it in. Noah Brown has it, and he's 4th and goal here. But they are going to call a field goal here, and Caleb Williams will not be able to finish out his first game, or his first drive with a score of his own. So now let's hop into the first drive of Jayden Daniels' career. So will the first overall pick live up to the hype that he was drafted with now that he is the first overall pick? I mean, Jayden Daniels is playing against one of the worst defenses in the NFL, so we're going to see if he can make some motion here as he is going to scramble, goes down. Harold Landry sacks him. 2nd and 18 for the young and making his first NFL mistake, but he's got Roma Dunze for the first down. 3rd and 10 for the kid already. He's already getting pressured, has to escape the pressure, can't do it, and he's not going to get to even get a field goal on his first drive. All right, but now let's sim to the playoffs and see how these teams did this season. Will the Commanders go back to the playoffs like they did in real life? And will the Bears finally make it with their new first overall pick? Wow, so the Bears went 9 and 8, finishing 3rd in their division, missing the playoffs, and the Commanders went 3 and 14, being the 16th seed in the entirety of the NFL. Very, very different from what happened last year, but very much as to what Washington is accommodated to. So your first overall pick put up 3,500 passing yards, 29 passing touchdowns to 10 interceptions with a 66% completion rate. Honestly, that's really not that bad. 3,500 yards isn't horrible, and a 3-1 isn't the worst. He also added 415 yards and 2 touchdowns on the ground. Caleb Williams was way worse, you could say. 3,000 passing yards, 19 touchdowns, 15 interceptions, 61%. That's 500 less yards, almost 10 less touchdowns. Actually, it was 10 less touchdowns, and 5 more interceptions with a 5% less completion rate. Although he did have more rushing yards due to all the read options, where he had 504. All right, well, with nothing else to do this season, let's just sim and see how the season ended and see if Jayden Daniels might have won Offensive Rookie of the Year. So the Bills won the Super Bowl this year over the 49ers, 21-27. The quarterback, or the Super Bowl MVP and NFL MVP, was Josh Allen. Coach of the Year is Nick Sirianni. Offensive Player of the Year is Josh Allen, which is crazy. He just won the Triple Crown. Defensive Player of the Year is Alex Anzalone. That is insane. Rookie of the Year was Bo Nix, which is also pretty insane. Defensive Rookie of the Year is Tariq Still. This is a very interesting award ceremony. A lot of these guys don't normally win. All right, so let's sim into the start of season 2 just to see how different these squads look. All right, so here is this year 2 Bears offense. Basically, Jayden Daniels took a big step forward. This offensive line still looks really solid over here. The running game looks really similar. DJ Moore is still the wide receiver 1, but is falling off. Roma Dunze is already an 84 raw with a superstar. And then also, Keenan Allen is down to an 80 overall normal depth. The Commanders, on the other hand, are looking pretty solid as well. The run game still looks really good. Caleb Williams is an X factor, only a 79 overall though. Terry McLaurin looks pretty good, but everybody else in this receiving core kind of sucks, including the tight end room. Also, this offensive line is still pretty solid. Let's just see how these boys produce, and let's see if one of them can finally make the playoffs. I'm looking at you, Jayden. And would you look at that? The Washington Commanders got themselves a playoff spot, the 6th seed at 10-7. Meanwhile, the Chicago Bears went 8-9 and missed the playoffs once again. So let's see if Washington can progress. They're playing the 3rd seed San Francisco 49ers. Let's see if they'll move on. And sadly, they did not make it. They lost by 11 points to 49ers, who now go on to play the Eagles, which means that both these team seasons are over. So let's check out stats. We'll start off with the Commanders, where Caleb Williams had 3,500 yards, 26 touchdowns, 12 interceptions, 69% completion. Definitely a better year than what he had, as 3,500 yards is 500 yards more, and he got way more touchdowns to a couple less interceptions. He also had 504 on the ground. Jayden Daniels took a minor step back, throwing for 3,400 yards, 22 touchdowns to 13 interceptions with a 65% completion rate, while Jayden Daniels had 421 and 3. So with that all being done, let's just go see the awards. So the Bills beat the Packers in the Super Bowl, starting themselves a little bit of a dynasty here, as they beat them 34-28. Josh Allen wins Super Bowl MVP for the 2nd consecutive year. NFL MVP, however, is Patrick Mahomes. Coach of the Year is Matt LaFleur. Offensive Player of the Year is Rashee Rice. And Defensive Player of the Year is Will Anderson Jr. And at the bottom of your screen, you should have the total yards to touchdowns to turnovers that every team has. So as the tally stands, Jayden Daniels still has more yards by about 100. He also has 6 more touchdowns and 3 less turnovers. So let's see if Caleb Williams can take him over in any of these categories in this upcoming year, as he's on the rise. All right, so let's see how these two do in this upcoming year, and I have a lot of hope. Wow, I have no clue how this happened, but both these teams missed the playoffs. The Commanders went 5-12, and the Bears went 7-10. There must have been a crazy injury on both sides of the ball. Caleb Williams. Oh, wow. What a horrible season. 3,000 passing yards, 17 touchdowns to 17 interceptions, 65% completion. Not only will he probably not surpass Jayden Daniels, he might not be in the league in the next few years. I don't understand how this happened. He didn't get injured. I guess he just got sacked a lot. But 27 isn't even that crazy. Jayden Daniels didn't even have that good. Actually, Jayden Daniels had a pretty good year. Now that I look at it, 3,600 yards, 22 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. It's way better than what Caleb had. That's all I can say about it. All right, so after doing the math, because before I was doing with all these rushing stats, but I'm going to do it just with passing so we can compare it to these all-time quarterbacks at the end. Jayden Daniels is really separating himself. He has 11 more touchdowns. He has 13 less interceptions, and he has about 1,000 more yards. So we're just going to see if Caleb Williams can bring his team back to success. And since neither team made the playoffs, let's just see how the season ended. Wow, so the Texans beat the Eagles in the Super Bowl 17-14. Azeez Al-Shahir wins Super Bowl MVP, which is crazy. NFL MVP is Josh Allen. Coach of the Year is Sean McDermott, so that's a duo. Offensive Player of the Year is Josh Allen. Defensive Player of the Year, yup, here it comes. Aiden Hutchinson, like normal. So let's just see how these teams build around their failing organizations. All right, so going into year 4, Caleb Williams is still a 90 overall X factor. Terry McLaurin is really falling down here. He is now down to an 88 normal dev, which is really bad. Dontavion Wicks is the new wide receiver 2, who's probably going to get almost 1,000 yards. This is a very interesting running back duo. They are keeping together. Offensive line, honestly, is looking really, really solid. They have some great pieces. Of course, Sam Cosmi, Coleman, Biadash, and we have a rookie down here. Riker also is now an X Factor. Oh, meanwhile over here, Jayden Daniels is up to a 92 overall superstar. This is a nice little duo as well, except it is high overall in both places. DJ Moore is down to an 87 normal dev. Mike Evans is down to a normal dev 80 overall. But Roma Dunze is now a 90 overall superstar. Offensive line looks a little bit better, but there are still some very shaky points here. And this is a nice duo at tight end. So with that out of the way, let's go ahead and sim the rest of the season. Well, these franchises are definitely both cursed. The Chicago Bears went 4-13, and the Washington Commanders went 7-10. Let's see where this all went wrong. Jayden Daniels honestly had a kind of good year, except did he miss a game? No, he didn't. I don't know why his backup came in. Maybe he got hurt just for a couple of snaps. But he threw for 3,700 yards, 20 touchdowns, 13 interceptions. Not a horrible year by any means. For the Commanders, honestly, Caleb Williams, not a bad year at all. 3,400 yards is not perfect, but 27 touchdowns to 7 interceptions is 10 million times better than what he had last year. Way more touchdowns to half his interceptions. And honestly, this has looked like an up and up for Caleb. And honestly, Caleb Williams is kind of catching up. Only 1,000 less yards at this point. But also, he is down about 11 or 12 touchdowns. And he is up in his interceptions. So he needs to get his picks down and his touchdowns up to get better. But with none of these teams being in the playoffs, let's just see how the year ended. The Bills have done the first... Oh, wait, they didn't three-peat. But they did beat the Panthers in the Super Bowl 37-31. Josh Allen is Super Bowl MVP and NFL MVP. Coach of the Year is Brayden Williamson of the Panthers. I had to stutter there because I just saw that Offensive Player of the Year is Packers wide receiver Parker Washington. How does that happen? Parker Washington was the third or fourth string receiver for the Jacksonville Jaguars in the actual timing of this video. How does he possibly become an Offensive Player of the Year? I don't get it. Aiden Hutchinson Defensive Player of the Year for the second year in a row. But we're just going to go ahead and see how these teams progress. And I hope that somebody makes the playoffs this year. Let's see how these two teams do. And honestly, both of them can make the playoffs this year. And I'm hoping I'm not jinxing it for the third straight year. Well, both these teams had positive records. The Commanders did not make it to the playoffs, but the Chicago Bears led their extremely weak division and made it at a 10-7 record. And now they have to play the 6th seed 49ers, which is something that we see a lot here, as the 49ers were the 3 seed and the Commanders were the 6th seed, and the 49ers beat them. So let's see if it doesn't happen this time. And the Bears are gonna make it to the NFC divisional round. That is insane. Listen, if they beat the Cardinals and they make it to the NFC Championship, we might just have to watch them. And they actually did make it, and now they have to play the 1 seed Carolina Panthers. And listen, I'm not gonna lie, it would add another 10 minutes if we watch this game. So we're gonna go ahead and hop in if there is a Super Bowl appearance. And sadly, they do not make it. They lost by 6 points, which means that we will not be watching any games right now. And I don't know how this happened, but the Panthers and Colts made the Super Bowl, both of them at the number 1 seed. I don't understand this universe. But that is a great year from Jayden Daniels. It must have been if they made the Super Bowl. But we'll start off with Caleb Williams, who had 3,400 yards, 25 touchdowns, and 11 interceptions. Honestly, not that bad. I've definitely seen better. Jayden probably had better, but it's not horrible. And Jayden Daniels actually didn't really have that much better of a year, actually. And I'm looking at that ratio. He might have 3,200 yards, 32 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. Honestly, a really good season from him. I would love to see 4,000 yards and then be the first 4,000 yard passer for the Bears, but that's probably just not going to happen. And also, when you look at their numbers compared now, Caleb Williams is still only 1,000 yards down, except he now has only about 10 touchdowns less and about 12 more picks. So Jayden Daniels is looking like the pick that should have been picked. But let's go ahead and see who ends up winning the Super Bowl of what would have been the Pooper Bowl a couple years ago. So the game ends 31-24. The Colts end up winning. Jonathan Taylor is Super Bowl MVP. Can't be surprised about that. NFL MVP is Patrick Mahomes. Coach of the Year is Brayden Williamson of the Panthers. Offensive Player of the Year is Rashee Rice of the Chiefs. So that ends up with an Offensive Player of the Year and NFL MVP duo. And a Defensive Player of the Year is Aiden Hutchinson for the now 3rd year in a row, which means that we're about to get into the dominant reign that he has on this league. But let's see how these teams are looking by next season. Caleb Williams is up to a 94 overall X Factor. Terry McLaurin is down to an 80 overall normal dev. And now Kevin Ware steps in as the 2 as Dontavion Wicks is gone. This franchise is still horribly managed, as it seems. Mitchell is still a very mediocre running back. And now he doesn't even have much of a backup. This offensive line is a little bit shaky. I hope this rookie is very good. Otherwise, Sam Cosmi and B-Dash need to carry here along with Coleman. And this tight end is still looking great. Meanwhile, for the Bears, Jayden Daniels is a 95 overall superstar, but he can't get up to that X factor somehow. Otherwise, the running back is looking very, very good. He is an 86 overall star. Rome Odunze is up to a 93 overall superstar. DJ Moore is down to an 82 overall normal dev. And honestly, he's not even going to be the wide receiver 2 after this year because of Blake here, who's also an 82. Outside of that, offensive line is super mid, but honestly, it'll definitely hold up, and it's definitely better than the ones of the past. Outside of that, Cole Kmet. This is a disgusting trio here. This is disgusting. Oh boy. And we are going to play the first drive of this game. It is an NFC Championship game rematch as the Carolina Panthers just lost in the Super Bowl. All right, so with that out of the way, let's just go ahead and sim the season and see how these kids do. Can the Bears make it back to the playoffs and maybe get themselves their first 1,000-yard passer or 4,000-yard passer? Well, the answer is no, as both teams go under 500. The Bears go 7-10 and the Commanders go 6-11. These teams are both cursed, I guess. Jeez. Jayden Daniels, a very shaky season. 3,300 passing yards, 22 touchdowns to 14 interceptions. Honestly, not that great of a year from him. Caleb Williams, almost 3,500 yards, 23 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. Honestly, a very good season from what we've seen from him so far. And this just seems to be getting closer and closer with the gap between them. A nice year from the Commanders. And looking at the total, it is now down to an 800-yard difference between Jayden Daniels and Caleb Williams. The touchdowns are still pretty far away with almost 20 between them, and then interceptions still almost 10 away. But these two are looking really similar. So at the end of the year, we have the Patriots beating the Rams 31-28. DeMarcus Garner wins Super Bowl MVP. NFL MVP is Josh Allen. Coach of the Year is Kevin McGovern of the Giants. Offensive Player of the Year is Puka Nacua. Defensive Player of the Year is Aiden Hutchinson for the 4th time in a row. An unbelievable go. But let's just quickly go over the next 5 years because we're going into 2030. The following year was a disappointment. The Chicago Bears went 7-10. The Commanders, however, somehow clutched a playoff berth going 8-9. Kind of going back to what this division used to be. However, they were quickly knocked out of the bracket by the 5-seed Atlanta Falcons. Jayden Daniels put up 3,800 yards, 29 touchdowns, and 5 interceptions. One of the best campaigns of his career, probably the best. On the other side, Caleb Williams was also picking up his game, throwing for 3,600 yards, 31 touchdowns, and 7 interceptions, having a 70% completion rate. And things were put right back on schedule in the next year. The Commanders went 5-12, and the Bears went 3-14. Both these franchises yet to gain a Super Bowl appearance and at this point even a playoff appearance. Caleb Williams put up 3,600 yards, 25 touchdowns, and 7 interceptions, and he just seems to be progressing every year. On the other side, Jayden Daniels took a little bit of a step back, 3,400 yards, 28 touchdowns to 11 interceptions, which is just slightly worse than Caleb. Despite being a regression, this is the year that Jayden Daniels broke 200 passing touchdowns on his career. And the following year was the same once again. The Commanders going 7-10 and the Bears going 5-12. Neither of them escaping this peril that they've been in. It was a great year for Caleb, however, as he had 4,000 passing yards, 26 touchdowns to only 2 interceptions, 74% completion. That is a low in interception, I believe a high in completion percentage, and a high in passing yards on his career for all 3 of those this year, which means this is a great year for him. This is also the year that he broke 200 touchdowns. This was, however, not a great year for Jayden Daniels. 3,200 yards, 17 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions. It's way less interceptions, but also way less touchdowns and some lower yards. And due to this lack, this is finally the year that Caleb Williams has overtaken Jayden Daniels in all-time passing yards. He's also very closely creeping up on only 10 touchdowns lower and also only 4 interceptions higher. Another disappointing year for Washington when Caleb Williams finally started looking good, going 7-10, but the Bears have made the playoffs. But sadly, they lose in the first round to their division rivals, meaning that they aren't going to go any further in this season. Jayden Daniels had another iffy year. He upped his yards, upped his touchdowns, but his interceptions are still really high. He had almost 3,800 yards, 33 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. It's a little bit scary, but he's honestly just kept being one of the greatest quarterbacks in the league. Caleb also had another great year, 3,600 yards, a little bit less, but 20 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. It's a great ratio, way better than Jayden's. It's just a little bit low numbers for both. Of course, interceptions is great to be low in, but Jayden had 13 more touchdowns. And it's also the year that Jayden Daniels once again took over the throne with the most passing yards. And the following season was just more of the same. The Commanders going 7-10 and the Bears going 8-9, just missing the playoffs. Caleb had a major down year, but still protected the ball. He only had 3,007 passing yards and only 25 touchdowns, but luckily he stayed to only 4 interceptions. It's just not exactly what you want to see. In fact, he led their team in rushing too with 471 and 4 because Will Shepard couldn't pick it up. He is single-handedly trying to carry this team, and it's just not working. On the other hand, Jayden Daniels had another pretty good year, 3,500 yards, 23 touchdowns to 10 interceptions. Obviously nothing too exceptional, but a very decent year. And at this point, he's old enough where he's being considered a mentor in his player tags. This is also the year that both these men passed 100 interceptions on their career, which is not bad considering they've been in the league for 10 years. On the other hand, though, Caleb Williams has just passed Jayden Daniels in interceptions, where he now has less by 4, which is a big step for him in this debate. At this point, Jayden Daniels is down to a 90 overall star player, so he's lost all of his abilities, but still kept most of that overall. On the other side of the coin, though, Caleb Williams is still a 96 overall superstar X Factor, despite the fact that he's honestly putting up debatably worse stats than Jayden Daniels. He has 6 overalls on him, and he has the highest dev trait, while Jayden Daniels only has the second dev trait. At this point, it's 2035. It's been 5 years since we've looked at these rosters and these players. So let's go take a look at what both these teams are dealing with, and then maybe hop into a quick little drive with each. Looking at the Commanders, it's honestly not that bad. Their running back is very unimpressive, but their receiver core is mediocre at best, honestly. Their wide receiver 1 isn't great. Their wide receiver 2 has a lot of potential to grow into the new wide receiver 1. Their offensive line is honestly one of the best in the game. We have 4 kids over an 85 overall. Surprisingly no abilities, but that is still something that you always look for. Also, their tight ends have a good 1-2 punch. And I don't know if this is a coincidence, but their backup tight end is a left tackle. Oh, wow. He is a 77. He is 6'4", 313. He's their backup tight end and their backup left tackle. That is insane. The defense is very lopsided. You have guys like Jalen Carter, Hitchcock, Mobley, and Lindsley, but everybody else is kind of mid at this point. So we're going to hop into their first regular season game, play the first drive, and then take a look at how the Bears are doing. Sadly, we have to get the rust off our shoulders against a team that has Josh Allen and Jahmyr Gibbs on their offense. So I guess it's good that we're not playing on the defense. Caleb Williams is the only ability on this entire offense. He's going to get it out to the Riddler. Okay, that's interesting. All right, we have a 1st and 10 here, and I'm going to get it out if he can get it. Oh my God, what a throw by Caleb. All right, just trying to find something here. A little bit of blitz. That is a bad throw by me. Mitchell comes down with it, though. Holy. All right, well, after resetting the sticks, I feel like we can do anything. Intercepted. Okay, well, maybe anything was a little bit of a stretch. We're going to give this one more drive. All right, 1st and 10. Oh, look at this pressure. Williams. Oh, I thought he was going to get around it. 2nd and 15. I think that this Texas has got to get open. Probably not, but I'm still going to throw it. Bad throw. 2nd and 10 here. Hit the easy check down to Madsen, and he's going to break a tackle. 1st and 10. Play action. Gonna try and hit this, and he does get it. Mitchell hurdle, man. Oh, that would have been sick, though. All right, 1st and goal. I kind of just want to hit the drag here. If it's open, it is. That's a touchdown to Madsen. And Caleb Williams honestly looks great. He hasn't missed a single throw. The only bad throws that he's had have been either on the run or under tons of pressure. And I really like what I'm seeing here. So let's go check on the Bears. And here's a look at the Bears, and they are a little bit better off, I think. Running game still isn't good, but they have a 92 overall X Factor receiver, and they have an 89 overall star backup with an 81 third string and an 80 overall 4th string. This offensive weapon looks very good, especially considering they have a very deep tight end room. The only issue is this offensive line is still not great. I mean, it's way worse after looking at what Washington had. Especially the center scares me a lot. And defense, I can't say is much better. I mean, they have Peters, Rainey, and Otten here. But outside of that, it's all kind of just mid. But this is definitely a unit that can get it done. I think this team can make the playoffs. So we can hop into this first drive against the Steelers. This is the opposite of where it was in Washington, because we have to play one of the historically best defenses in the league. But I definitely want to try and hit Ward on one of these plays, except that guy was unblocked. 3rd and 22. I'm kind of just trying to clear out the field for this man to do his job. Marion gets the 1st. All right, 2nd and 10. Let's try and hit something. I want to hit RB here. except I have extreme pressure on me right now. Ward hangs onto it. It just feels like Jayden Daniels always has that one guy who's going to step up for him. Of course, Odunze is now gone. He probably retired, honestly, at this point. But Ward has stepped in nicely. Caleb still has not that much. I feel like the high safety either covers A or... Oof, this is not the look that you want. Yeah, I was just kind of throw that to throw it. All right, 1st and 10. I'm giving this another good attempt just because of Caleb. That's going to be a good yardage. Sadly for our boys here, though, this is where people start really regressing in overall. Some people really stick around, but Madden normally does that for the guys that have really proved themselves. So this is where we could start seeing them switching teams and all that. Pretty much right as we started simming, I saw Jalen Hurts switch teams. Gotta love a little old Madden mystery where it just hits somebody's something and it gets it. Great pick play right there, Maze. All right, let's do a rollout play here just because, you know, we got the speed. That's open. There we go, Ward. And he's going to head it in for the touchdown here. A great play. And now let's just see if either of these guys finally make the playoffs, because they really need to make that push. And look at what we have here. The Bears go 8-9, missing the playoffs, but Caleb Williams found himself back in the playoffs at 10-7, leading his own division. So let's see if we can finally make a push farther than the wild card round for the first time in this decade. And we can. Let's see if he makes it to the chip. I gotta say, playing the division rival is a little bit scary for our case here, but I think that he could have pulled it off. Let's look at this together. And if it wants to load, he did not make it past. A 3-point loss. But these two both have had about no playoff success. Before we get into the stats here, if you look at Jayden Daniels' tags, it says mentor/trade target veteran, which means that Chicago is looking to get rid of Jayden Daniels. Despite that, he put up 3,500 yards, 33 touchdowns, and 12 interceptions. A nice year, but honestly, it's about what we've seen every year. Never surpassing 4,000, which stays with the Chicago legacy. Over 10 interceptions and less than 40 touchdowns. And Jayden Daniels has officially passed 300 touchdowns. On the other side, Caleb Williams is still a franchise quarterback / award winner at his tags, and he put up 3,500 yards, 24 touchdowns, and 9 interceptions. A way cleaner year than Jayden Daniels, and he had more yards in the end, which is kind of what you need. Way less touchdowns, though, which just seems to be the trend here. Caleb also just passed 40,000 passing yards. So at this point, we need to start going slow again, because while they were heating up in the beginning, now they're slowing down. They might move some teams. So we're going to go to next season and see if either of these guys move teams. Obviously, Caleb isn't, but we'll see if Jayden does. And I think that if he does, we can say that he probably would prove that Caleb Williams was the right choice here. So let's check it out here. Jayden Daniels is no longer a Chicago Bear. That is crazy. So let's see where he ended up. Caleb Williams is the 3rd best quarterback in the NFL. And Jayden Daniels is a Detroit Lion now, down almost 10 overall before Caleb Williams, and he is now tagged as a mentor, which means that he is going to come to an end of his season. And that's while Caleb is still sitting here at a franchise quarterback / award winner, which means that he's likely going to stay here for much longer. But something I just realized, if you look at the very left of this bar, Caleb Williams is now down to a superstar, which means that he's going to start regressing. Detroit has been nice, and if they still have Aiden Hutchinson, then this could be a very big potential leap for Jayden Daniels. Okay, so Aiden Hutchinson has officially, I'm going to assume he retired because it has been 13 years since he's been drafted. Starting off on this defense, though, this is really nice. Lowry is great, Richardson is great, Cooks is great. Everybody else is kind of weak. And Cooper DeJean is an 83 overall normal dev on this team. Wow, that is insane. This offense is honestly pretty nice, and this is the guy that he is mentoring, P. Coldwell. Or not, because he's 32 years old. But Fulton is nice, McCourt is nice, they have an X-Factor tight end, and they once again, just like the Bears had, they have, or just like the Commanders had, he has 1, 2, 3, 4 85 plus O-linemen, with 2 of them having abilities. I absolutely need to hop into a game with this team. And we're playing a division rival in the Packers. This should be fun. And seeing Jayden Daniels in the Lions jersey does not look great, especially because he's number 19, which I'm almost positively sure was Teddy Bridgewater's old number when he played for the Lions, which is not very fun. So his first pass as a Lion is a completion. Let's see if we can get this streak going. And honestly, with this offense, he could probably honestly have a 4,000-yard year, especially because he's out of Chicago now, which never has a 4,000-yard passer. I think it's really surprising to me that neither of these guys have won a single award, whether that be Offensive Rookie of the Year, whether that be Offensive Player of the Year, whether that be MVP. None of them have even made it to a Super Bowl. Now, I wouldn't necessarily call these guys busts, but they certainly aren't what we thought they'd be. Oh, Jayden, get those old man legs out. Throw it. That is, wow. All right, so we're just going to have to send a little bit of what they call a bomb right here. And we're going to hit 5. If he doesn't get DPI'd, he caught it. Oh, my. I really like Ringer here. If that linebacker does not sink, then Ringer should be easy yards. Actually, instead of easy yards, it is an easy touchdown for the Lions. Jayden Daniels might legitimately put up 4,500 yards on this offense. It is so good. It's also pretty crazy that Jayden Daniels has gone to a division rival. The Bears to the Lions is insane. So just for the fun of it, let's play a drive with Washington. So Caleb Williams comes out here with his old team. And how long will he stay here? Nobody really knows. But it's probably going to be a couple more years just because he is still such a high overall and they have no intent of trading him. But if they can't replicate that success that they had last year, he's already a very old man. He's already kind of lost his step. And by that, I mean his dev trait. So we're going to see what they do with him. I mean, at this point, you kind of just have to draft a rookie and have him mentor him. Also, beautiful release. 2nd and 10. Big pressure. He fumbles. Are you kidding me? Can he at least get the tackle? He does. Let's get one more moment. All right, so 1st and 10 now. And that is a beautiful ball to Madison. 1st and 10. It's going to be a pass. Sanborn, a great ball. And that is a nice little juke there, too. 1st and 10. And I see a nice little corner out here. Big boy comes down with it. Oh, my God. Wow. So there is great green grass here. But that's... At least I found the button. That is, of course, not what we're doing. All right, 3rd and goal. We need to find something here. The drag. Oh, my gosh. Threading the needle is Caleb Williams. Holy, that was an inch away from getting picked off from the sitting corner. At the end of the season, and for the first time in this video, the Commanders, well, I'm not going to say what I was going to say. Caleb Williams and Jayden Daniels have both made the playoffs, both at a 10-7 record, hoisting their division. Detroit gets the tiebreaker, so they become the 3 seed. If you look down at Chicago, they're still down at 5 and 12. All right, so let's see if either of these guys move on, and if they both do, I don't think that they'll play each other, but they might play each other in the NFC chip. So the Lions took a 1st-round exit, and Jayden Daniels continues to not simulate well in the playoffs. They lost very sadly, but the Commanders are still in here, and now they have to play the Falcons, who just beat Jayden Daniels and the Lions. Except now they will go home, and the Commanders make it to the NFC Championship. And I think that if Caleb Williams even makes the Super Bowl, he may have the edge over Jayden Daniels on his career. But now he has to play the Seahawks, who have beat the 2 and 1 seeds. And if you look here, Caleb Williams destroys the Cinderella story, and he is going to the Super Bowl to play against the Houston Texans. And we're gonna hop into this one. The Texans are 10-7. We are 10-7. They are an 88 across the board. We are an 88 offense and an 84 defense, so they do have the edge on us. But let's hope that that doesn't stop us. Come on, Caleb Williams. This is your chance to prove that you were the right pick in the draft. Coming up on top with a Super Bowl ring and such comparable stats to what Jayden Daniels has, Caleb Williams has such a good position right now to become the better quarterback all time. All right, Texans first drive, they score a touchdown. And we score right back, 7-7. And at halftime, it is 7-14. We have the lead. Wow, and at the 2-minute warning at the 4th quarter, nothing is going on. And we win the Super Bowl. Caleb Williams becomes a Super Bowl championship, winning 14-7 over the Houston Texans and a fellow 2nd overall pick, CJ Stroud. And look at Caleb Williams. He would have been the right pick for the Bears because he ends up winning a Super Bowl with Washington after honestly having a bad start to his career. I wouldn't say bad, but he was way worse than Jayden Daniels for the first almost decade. And then in these last couple of years, he's really just elevated his game to the next level. So Caleb Williams will take home a Super Bowl ring and will be the defending champions going into next year. Whereas Jayden Daniels is already on his 2nd team and already being called a mentor. Caleb Williams, a good year. I'm a little bit scared that both of these guys had games under him. I guess that he just missed a game, which is fine, which is where these guys stepped in. I also don't love 66% completion. That's not good. 29-5 is a great touchdown interception ratio, and 3,100 yards is a little bit lower than he's used to now, but still pretty good. And Caleb Williams has officially passed 300 career touchdown passes on his career. Meanwhile, Jayden Daniels, wow, he only played 11 games, and I don't know if that's due to injury or what, but that is not good. I assume it's because of injury, especially because he's so old, and especially because somebody else who is a bridge quarterback / mentor took over from him, and not the 2-year. But that is really going to hurt his stat line, as he didn't even finish first on his team. Even though he had 181.9 yards per game, those look like starter numbers. He also has only a 2-to-1 touchdown interception ratio, which normally is okay, but 12-6 is bad. And with that, Caleb Williams has officially taken the lead when it comes to yardage. Wow, so I don't know if Jayden Daniels is really going to make it much longer, and it also helps that Jayden Daniels is a whole, I believe, 2 years older than Caleb. I mean, Jayden Daniels is already 35 years old, 12 years in the league, and is down to an 86 overall star. And if I've learned anything from my past Anthony Cousins video, this is about where people start getting let go of. It's also where they start taking 10 overall hits per season. Looking over here, Caleb Williams is 34, so he's only 1 year younger, 12 years in the league, but he's still a 97 overall X factor. Especially now that he just won the Super Bowl, it's going to look good for him. So at the end of the year, the Commanders obviously beat the Texans, and Caleb Williams wins Super Bowl MVP. That is fantastic. NFL MVP is Dane Harvey. Coach of the Year is Zach Parker of the Raiders. Offensive Player of the Year is Dalvin Lipton of the Chargers. And Defensive Player of the Year is James Best of the Browns. And we've officially crossed over into the times where there are 0 actual players getting this awards, and it's all AI generated. Obviously, Caleb Williams is still going to stay on this elite roster, but will Jayden Daniels stick on the Lions? Especially not their injury concerns. All right, so let's see where these two boys rank when it comes into next season. Caleb Williams is number 3 in the league at a 93 overall superstar, though he lost his X factor. And Jayden Daniels is now 24th in the league. He stays on the Lions, but he's only an 83 overall, and he no longer has an ability. So let's just see if Caleb Williams can make it back to the playoffs, and maybe if Jayden Daniels can make it back too. And while Jayden Daniels didn't make it and went 8-9, somehow being second in his division, Caleb Williams just unlocked the number 1 seed in the entirety of the NFL at 13-4. He looks like he's entering his new prime, and he's already in his 30s. Could we have another Brady situation here? And they'll start off playing the 49ers in the divisional round, as they already had their first round bye. And he will dominate 35-12, bringing us against the Seattle Seahawks in the NFC Championship game, exactly where they were last year. But can he make it to back-to-back Super Bowls? I don't see it. Where is it at? Did we lose? No, Caleb Williams is going to 2 consecutive Super Bowls, and he now plays against the 6th seed Bills, which scares me because normally when they make it all the way here, they make it all the way. So can he beat the 9-8 Bills? He dominates. They have the same offense, but we have 1 overall difference in defense, in which it goes to the Commanders. So let's dominate and win 2 straight, Caleb. Come on, Caleb. This is your chance to reign supreme as the Commanders' best quarterback of all time, I'd say. All you have to do is beat the Bills, who had a dynasty back in the day with Josh Allen and Jahmyr Gibbs, but both of them are definitely now gone. All right, first quarter, I'm not seeing anything here at all. Wow. Then we got to score a field goal. Okay, that's definitely a step in the right direction as we get to the 2-minute warning. A lot of moments here. My gosh. The Bills end up scoring a touchdown, and it goes into the second half, 7-3. Caleb is not looking too good right now when it comes into winning. Come on now, buddy. My game is lagging like crazy. The Bills put up another touchdown. We need to get something now. All right, my thing is more than glitched out at this point. It's not even simulating. And in the end, the Buffalo Bills win 14-6. Sadly, Caleb Williams will not go any farther in the postseason, and he'll go home trying to dual Pete. But he's not going to let that get in his way, and he's going to try and perform even better next year, even though adding an extra year onto his career. So Caleb Williams puts up maybe his best season ever. 3,600 yards, 29 touchdowns to only 5 interceptions. His ball security is the best that I've ever seen. Only 5 interceptions, 5 to 7 interceptions on a regular basis is unbelievable. Listen, are his touchdowns down a little bit? Yes, but his yards stay tall. And Caleb Williams is about 1 good season away from having 50,000 passing yards. Looking over, and Jayden Daniels once again didn't play an entire year. In fact, he only got 7 games in his entire season, where he honestly played pretty good. 14 or about 1,500 yards, 7 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, 70% completion. I mean, listen, it's good for what he did, but he's really falling on these leaderboards. I wonder if this is due to injury and him being old, or possibly him getting benched for this other guy who is a couple years younger than him. And I wouldn't be shocked if by next year, Vernon Robinson, the third-year quarterback of the future, is their starter. And Caleb Williams has officially passed Jayden Daniels in all-time passing touchdowns. And now I'm starting to wonder, is Jayden Daniels going to not be on a roster next year? Looking at this season, Evan Jeffries wins Super Bowl MVP. NFL MVP is the Cowboys' Drew Brock. Coach of the Year is the Commanders' Dan Quinn. So that's going to be us. Offensive Player of the Year is the Browns wide receiver Benji Hearns, and Defensive Player of the Year is the Browns right end James Best. Wow, he's back to back now, and they also, wow, this is absurd. They had Offensive Player of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, and Offensive Rookie of the Year with halfback Maurice Jones. That is kind of crazy. So let's see if Jayden Daniels makes it. It also doesn't help that he's a primary rusher, and primary rushers often lose their legs earlier, and when they lose their legs, then they can't play well. So Caleb Williams has actually fallen to below a 90 to an 87 overall. So let's see if we can even find Daniels here. Look at this, Vernon Robinson, an 81 overall, who is above Daniels now. In fact, here is another Lions quarterback. And if you look here, Jayden Daniels is not on a roster. In fact, he's not even a free agent. I think that Jayden Daniels might have just retired from the NFL. Yep, and here it is. 2037 offseason, quarterback Jayden Daniels retires after 14 years in the NFL. That is actually insane. I did not expect it to happen this early. He finished with 45,492 yards, 337 touchdowns to only 124 interceptions. A great career. And once Caleb Williams bites the dust, we're going to check out his stats too. But for the time being, Caleb Williams has made it to 2 consecutive Super Bowls. Let's see if he can do it again. Wow, and the answer is no. They actually don't even make the playoffs. They go 7-10. And Caleb Williams comes in with another mediocre season. 3,400 yards is good, but 19 touchdowns is a very low number. 4 interceptions is great, though. And Caleb Williams has officially passed 50,000 career passing yards. So let's see where he's at next year. Hold up now. I'm seeing something very interesting here. Caleb Williams still an 85 overall superstar. His tags say franchise quarterback / trade target veteran. So what Jayden Daniels was at one point. But if you go down here to Christian Thompson, that says QB of the future / day 1 starter. This is a rookie who they have drafted to replace Caleb. The question is, does he start day 1 like this says he does? There's only one way to find out, because this could finally be the conclusion of this now 5-day video that I've been doing. Wow, and they go 10-7, becoming the 4th seed. Question is, when I click this button, do I see Caleb Williams' face? The answer is yes. But before we check the stats, let's go ahead and see if we can make it to the next round, because we actually did make the playoffs. And we passed the first round only by 3 points, but now we have to play our division rival, Philadelphia Eagles. And we get past them by less than a touchdown, 21-16. Can we finally creep past the NFC chip? And we do. Let's go. Caleb Williams can make a farewell tour ring like Peyton Manning did. And they're going to be playing the 10-7 also Bengals in the Super Bowl. Let's sim this game. So can old man Caleb Williams make a final tour to the Super Bowl and end up winning it, bring home his 2nd of his career? All right, so let's see how it goes. And they score on their first drive. That is not good. And we stay scoreless. This is not exactly what we want. Oh, and we might just get blown out. Actually, there's a touchdown right there. And they still score a field goal with 25 seconds on the clock. That is insane. Another touchdown pretty much seals the game for the Bengals. And Caleb Williams has made it to 3 Super Bowls and won in one of them. He is now 1 for 3 and is going home. At this point, I think it might just be time to retire, my guy. You've made it a great career. You've been to 3 Super Bowls, won a Super Bowl, are in top probably 15 passing yards of all time. It's time to hang up the cleats. A disappointing ending to honestly a great season. Caleb Williams put up 3,500 yards, 29 touchdowns, and 10 interceptions. Over 70% completion, but my thing is he's finally over 10 interceptions, but almost 30 touchdowns, a 3-to-1 ratio at most, and still 3,500 yards. He is still kicking hard with 15 years in the league. And look at that. Next to his tags, he lost his ability, but B, it no longer says trade target veteran. Next year, Caleb Williams will be 38 years old. He is turning into a positively true unk. He has superstar He's an 87 overall, but I assume that 87 might go down to an 84 by the end of this offseason. And it is even worse than I thought. Caleb Williams is down to an 82 overall star. And at this point, this guy might take his job. As I thought this guy would have been taking his job at the end of last year, but at this point, it's such a close overall, you might as well just switch him. This run game has a nice little duo. The pass game has two guys over an 80, 185. A little bit of nice depth. The offensive line has some really strong players, but also this gigantic weakness right here. Tight end is pretty good. Defense is disgusting. Holy, that's 1, 2, 3, 4 guys over. Wait, that's 5 guys, not like the restaurant, over an 85 overall. There are 11 players on this defense over an 80 overall. There are 8 players on this defense with star. This is such a good defense that I think Caleb could make it to another Super Bowl. But only one way to find out if they can keep kicking, as it is officially 2040. Wow, and this season is a major disappointment. Caleb Williams is 6-11 this year, bottom of this division for the first time in a really long time. As he goes, wow, a horrible season. He goes below 3,000 yards, only 2 yards, but granted, that's still under 3,000. He had 17 touchdowns to 12 interceptions, way low on touchdowns, way high on interceptions, and this is looking like early in his career when he went 17-17. And Caleb Williams has officially broken 400 passing touchdowns on his career. So it is 2041. And I am now officially on day 5 of trying to record this video. Let's see how Caleb is doing. And it is happening. Caleb Williams is now quarterback 2 on the Commanders depth chart. This is insanity. They're the same overall. Thompson is just younger. Caleb is about to turn 40. He's 24. Christian Thompson deserves the job more than anybody. And since Caleb isn't going to be playing, this means that A, he's not going to get any more stats, and B, he's likely not going to make another roster. I mean, he's also down to a normal dev, and he's the 34th ranked quarterback in the NFL, meaning that he's not a starter on any NFL team, which means that this video will finally be over. I'm so happy. This has taken so long. So we're just going to sim to the playoffs. I don't care if this team really makes it, but just in case they make it and Caleb Williams somehow took the starting job, well, look, I was looking back at the old Maddens, and I realized that they had a Hall of Fame feature. I never knew that. That is awesome. We need to get the Hall of Fame inductees in this next Madden. Which, by the way, this video is likely going to come out after that happens, because, I mean, it's probably going to come out on a Monday. So the Commanders went 8-9. And was Caleb even the starter for this team? He actually was? Are you kidding me? He was the quarterback 2 on the depth chart, but he played all 17 games. How could that be possible? I mean, it's obviously not a good year at all. 3,500 yards is decent, but 25 touchdowns and 13 picks is not good at all. But I did not think that Unc would still be putting up stats. And Caleb Williams is going to pass 60,000 career passing yards here. Caleb Williams is a top 5 quarterback of all time at this point. I don't think it's debatable. Obviously, I missed the playoffs, but we're just going to sim to next year. I assume that Caleb Williams is going to be a 74 overall normal dev, maybe not even on the Commanders at this point. I mean, this guy is bordering 20 years in the NFL. He is our Brady. He is our, well, I guess he's not our generation's Brady, considering Brady was our generation. He is the next Brady, except without any MVPs or rings. Well, he has 1 ring. All right, is Caleb Williams on the roster? The starter is going to be Thompson, and their backup is Sari, which means that Caleb Williams is no longer a Washington Commander for the first time in his NFL career. I assume he's a free agent. Yep, and here he is. 18 years in the league. Caleb Williams sits here in free agency. He is 40 years old. He is officially 40 years old. And I assume that when I sim to offseason, I'm going to see a retirement message about Caleb Williams. Well, it's great to see that 5-12 is how they ended. And let's see if he's here. Here it is. The only normally generated player here. The only person that's not AI generated. Caleb Williams retires after 19 years in the NFL. He was 40 years old. Actually, it might be 41 at this point, which is an absolutely insane career. And it means that I can finally hang up the cleats and stop recording this video. Actually, I have to take my thumbnail footage. But outside of that, I can stop. Honestly, guys, it's been such an experience, and if you made it all the way here, then you might as well drop a subscription. I hope that you drop a like. This takes, I probably have about 7 hours of footage to edit now. But I'm sorry to whine about it, but I just want to say it takes a lot of effort. This is a very fun video. I hope to do this for the next couple years with different players. Give me ideas down in the comments, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out and goodbye. Actually, hold up. I forgot my favorite part of these videos, where we check how these players place all time. Or, hear me out, my Wi-Fi cannot work. Legitimately, I've tried 2 different browsers now. It's not working. So we'll start off with Jayden Daniels here. Jayden Daniels finished out his career with 44,014 NFL passing yards, which means that he would have the 20th most passing yards in NFL history. The 4 people surrounding him would be Joe Flacco, Drew Bledsoe, Dan Fouts, Kirk Cousins, and Derek Carr. On the other hand, Caleb Williams passed for 61,753 NFL passing yards, which is not as many as I thought it would be. I thought it was number 3. But instead, it places him at the 7th most passing yards in NFL history, putting him currently below Ben Roethlisberger, Phillip Rivers, and above Aaron Rodgers and Matt Ryan, which are absolutely insane names. So we will start off with Jayden Daniels, who passed for 330 passing touchdowns in his career. And that puts him at number 14 all time. That is below Russell Wilson and Fran Tarkenton, and right above John Elway and Carson Palmer. John Elway is a guy that I thought would be a little bit higher, but I'm glad to see that Jayden Daniels is above him. On the other hand, Caleb Williams passed for 436, one less than exactly 100 over him, and that would place him at number 6 all time, below Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers, and right above Phillip Rivers and Dan Marino. Caleb Williams is a top 10 all-time quarterback, no doubt about it. And finally, we'll move on to interceptions. I cannot believe that Tom Brady is number 22 on this list. That is ridiculous. Anyway, Jayden Daniels had 124 passes intercepted, which ties him with 2 guys, Frank Tripucka and Bobby Herbert. Oh my gosh, there's another Herbert? That also puts him right below Kirk Cousins and Milt Plum, and above Cam Newton and, oh my gosh, Zeke Bratkowski. What are we doing? On the other hand, Caleb Williams had 158 passes intercepted, which ties with Tommy Kramer at 158, right below Jay Cutler and Ken Anderson, and right above Phil Simms and Matt Hasselbeck. That is honestly not that bad of company to be in. But anyway, that will do it for the video, everybody. If you enjoyed, please like and subscribe. I'm about to watch football in 1 hour. That is absolutely insane. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out and goodbye.